Hi, welcome to Base Editing with Daisy. Today we're going to look at window construction and a few doors and different options there. Lots of people want to know, how do I make a window that I can actually see out of in my base? Because there are some base window options. For instance, there is this is actually a skylight, and it's tintable, so you can make it match the wall it's on, at least theoretically, or get close to it. And it lights up at night, which is kind of nice, but it's quite large, and as you can see, it's also quite thick, so you couldn't really have that as part of a wall to be a window. There's also the warehouse windows, and those are, again, great for sticking on the outside of a building. And you don't have to worry about not being able to see through them because you couldn't see through the frosted glass anyway. But they are strictly for really the outside of the building. Then there's another option that you can put on the inside of a building, and that would be the mansion door, or mansion window I should say. And this is nice. You can tint the curtains, and these are really the only curtains that are in the game at all. So if you want to tint the curtains, great. If you don't, great. But tinting them will also tint the door frame or the window panes and so forth. So just kind of keep that in mind. Alright, so what do you want to do if you don't want any of those options? You want to be able to see through. Here is a window that I have started to construct, and I wanted to show you how I left it unfinished so I could show you how I had put it together. First of all, the walls are rather thick in the editor. All your options are. So I have the outside materials. Really, the best outside building material is brick. You can color it. It comes in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. The small is the same size as the medium of the cement and wood pieces for the interior. But so you can get quite a long piece for the large. But just for outside, it gives you the most options for doing things like windows and doors. Now they have just added a new piece I was excited to see, which is a chimney, and that is in structures. And you color it just like the regular bricks. It is a little bit larger brick, as you can see, but it's rectangular, so it has a shorter side and a longer side, obviously. So when you get that out, this is what enabled me to make the pieces between this window and this door, because normally I would have to have an entire small piece, which is quite a bit, at least twice the size of that. So that was a fun discovery. Now what I've done here is given you a couple of examples of how you can trim out your door. There is the cement part of the brick wall, and you can just upend a brick wall to get the top part and sink one down in the upright position to get the bottom part if you want, or you can do what I've done here and just turned the wall upside down and then sunk it down into the ground, so you don't have that cement piece. And then for the windowsill part, I just used the white straight counter, and now this has been upended so that it's on its most narrow end with the smooth side up. Naturally, you don't want the door handles showing if you've got, you want the smooth side out, and you don't want the door handles right next to the surface of a wall, because they do extend a little bit from the cabinet and they will poke through the wall. I've also got panes here that I've done, and these are actually stair posts, and those are in room details. Near the end you will find a lot of things that deal with stairs. But this is it's very time consuming to sit here and make all the panes for the window. There's no measurement system in the base editor. You're going to have to eyeball it and come up with a system that works for you. And then you have to put all the individual pieces. So it's definitely painstaking, but if you are determined and you like detail work, this is the job for you. Now on the edges of this window I have put beam 2, and that's just to edge the window to give it a border. And I would, when I finish this window, I would probably put one across the bottom too, or some more of the wood rails. There are two different sizes. There's a stair post and the wood rail, and as you can see, the stair post is longer, so that is the one I generally will use when I'm putting together window panes. Not that I do a lot of window panes. The window glass itself is a large glass panel, and of course the ends of the glass panel, top and bottom, are all hidden by the walls that they are in. And because these walls are so thick, what I do is I put these two walls together. So this wall is as close as it can get, really, to the brick wall without having the brick wall show through. Now, I do have to watch out if I'm doing two levels. The bottom level has to be out farther than the top level so that I can hide the part that's going to show through. And obviously this curtain wouldn't be able to be that low either. But see, there's a, if I get it too close, then the bar from the wall above it is going to show through. Now you can, if you have a thicker piece in between your levels, of course you can raise that up higher, but I just like to bring it out a little bit, and I like to have the edge of the plaster even with the edge of my window, just for the inside finish. And what I use for the bits between my panels, unfortunately there are no pieces of wall that are meant for over windows and doors. I really wish they'd put some in, but they haven't. So the closest thing has been the ubiquitous stall panel wall, because I can color it to match whatever I want. I mean, sometimes, these are even usually slightly different colors because the light hits them a little bit differently. Now they do have a little bit of a shine to them, and that's a disadvantage, and they don't blend all that great, but that kind of is the best option that you've got. Now I also like to make the trim. That's what all this stuff is here, because I don't like to just have it blank across and everything else has trim. So what I've done here is I've used the wood pillar cap, and this one's pretty straight up, and then for the, see, this bar piece here in the top of the trim is a lot darker than the rest of the trim. So for here I've used beam 2, and that is in room details. For the bottom piece I used wood column, and that's in pillars. And I've used both wood pillar caps and at an angle a short wall, but you have to have a floor to be able to use that, and I just used it because it was one piece instead of several. So I've got that angled so that it's at the, it matches as far as its look. So I did the same thing here. If you want to place two windows one on top of the other, it's obviously problematic because the brick walls, you can't vary their height, and that is a pretty thick section to have your next row windows at if you're doing the room at the size that I like to do rooms at, because this way I can get 3 levels and a base, whereas if I go the full height of the cement plaster brick walls, I'm only going to get really about 2 levels in. So I like to make them, the cement walls, shorter, and that way they're more to scale. And keep in mind your scale when you are doing windows, because things in the editor tend to get oversized, really. I like to use NPCs, and I'll just put an NPC out there, or sometimes I'll just use my own character, but just put an NPC out there and see what's the window scale, what's the room scale. You can see this room is higher than our rooms generally are in our houses. So and that's also important when you're talking about bedroom windows. I can remember finishing a bedroom window and then bringing my character in and realizing that I could barely even see out of the window. But for like a smaller window that would be for a bedroom, this would be a very good height and size. So that's what I've done here, is I've made them 2 different sizes because your downstairs windows are typically larger than your upstairs windows. And just kind of as something that's fun to do and a kind of design statement, I just used the white straight counters, smooth side out, and lined them up so they're all nice and even and the same on both sets are the same amount showing. And I've seen buildings with something similar to this on their outside walls, so it's a thing. It looks pretty good when you're finished with the whole thing. Or you can make your windows the same size. Then you don't have to worry about. You can still use the counters, but then you don't have to worry about the brick walls and the differences in sizes. And I don't know. It's just up to you what you want your base to look like. Now there is a new piece that has come in that does actually have windows with glass and panes and everything, and that's the mansion wall. That's also in structures. It's right at the front. So right there, mansion wall, there's curved and there's straight. Now the thing about these is, again, we're talking the scale is all off. If I were to put an NPC down here, you can see she's on the floor, the windows are up here. She's not seeing out of those windows anytime soon. So I would sink them down so that they are more appropriate to your character's NPC size, so they can see out of them. But there's only windows in these pieces. So keep that in mind when you're building, that either you're going to have windows everywhere, or you're going to have to use them in conjunction with other pieces, and there aren't any other pieces that match this, so you might end up putting like brick walls on either side of this and having it be, instead of the window, my window with the plain glass, you might have this in and just have a double set of windows instead of the one pane of glass. And if you're going to use them one above the other in like a double story thing, again, you have to kind of compensate for the scale, so I would take whatever flooring you're using and raise that up so that your characters can see out of the top windows. Their underneath is going to be a little bit taller than it was set to before, but hey, it's a mansion, so that's maybe how it looks. This is a new piece I'm really excited about. It's a Chalet Roof piece, and not only do we have shingles and an actual roof piece, and it's angled so it goes together nicely, and I love this piece. And the outside, the shakes, the shingles could also be the outside of a house if you didn't, again, want to make windows and just use the outside windows, because there are houses that have like the shaker style that have the shingles on the outside of the house, not just on the roof. But if I were using this as the ceiling like I am now, I would have my shower floors laid down first, and then I put this on top of it. But I love this because as a floor separation, it's got depth, and the depth isn't just wood, it's a nice white, so it goes very nicely with all the other pieces that I would be putting on in the interiors, given the choices that I have. And it gives you another wooden floor surface, so you can use this as a floor. And it doesn't count as a floor according to the editor, so you can't just sit things on it. You'd have to put, you'd have to have a floor underneath it, or change attachment to surface and then change it back to floor for moving and so forth. But it gives you another option besides the parquet and the bricks and so forth. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll show you a few door options here. By the way, this is another wall piece. Looks to be kind of made out of adobe. It's actually a garden wall, so it's more meant to be outside, but it's got some potential for being used as an outside piece. It's got a couple of different sizes, but some of them are thicker than others. So, and I've noticed the curved doesn't completely match up with the straight. So it's a little unfortunate, but it might work. So I'll show you some doors, and the door I most like to use is the COT door. This is because, again, we don't have a lot of choices indoors. We've got the generic door, which just looks like the door to a bathroom to me, or it's just a utility door, basically. Then we have generic double doors. We have the large secure door. And when they say large, they mean large. Those are, it's pretty cool, but it's not going to go in your front of your house. There's the mansion door. But I already mentioned the mansion door has that annoying curve to it, and it doesn't open. So you can use this if you want to use like the teleporter to go from one side to the other. And as long as it's against a wall, you're not going to care about the arch. But if you're trying to make any kind of build around this arch, there's just nothing that's going to match it. So that's the mansion door. And there's no mansion door jamb. So if you want to use the new mansion door, half of a mansion door that's in structures, unfortunately, you're not going to have anything to put it in. So, I mean, theoretically, you could have your mansion door open, but then there's no door frame. Oops. I just moved that. There's no door frame for it, and there's no real good way to build a door frame for that. They've also given us a couple of other doors. There's a tech door, which is, that's cool for a tech kind of base. There's they're calling them shop doors, and that's nice. Again, you can't go into them, but they're nice. And there's a destroyer door. None of these are going to work for your house, clearly. So back to doors and windows. There's a COT door, there's bathroom doors, there's a metal door, and there's your generic doors. And there's, of course, a cemetery gate. So you can see this is the way I like the COT door, because I can put it at an angle and just have people able to go in and out of the door like that. Now, I can put things over the door to cover it up, and the door handle will stick through just fine. Or, if I'm making my own door, now this piece is the back of the mega monitor, the inactive mega monitor, and it's just metal. So if I want to change the look of that a little bit, I might use the glass wall that's in structures. It's a new piece, and it won't do a lot for the color of the door, but you can change it a little bit. Let's say I want to do red or whatever. That makes it almost like a brown, but you're not doing a whole lot. If you really want a different colored door, I would recommend going with people sometimes use bathroom, but realize bathroom is only 8 feet tall, and the COT door is 10 feet tall. If you want to make sure that all your characters can get through it, I recommend measuring things with the COT door. But if you want to make an 8-foot door, the other doors are much shorter than the COT door, and I think they would definitely be 8 feet or less. So the reason I say 8 feet is because the stall panels walls only go to 8 feet. So clearly if I stand them up on their end and use them as a door, I could definitely do that. If I'm going to do that, I would probably put a door knocker on that, or I would put this over the door so that it, just like that. So it looks like a red door with a big old door handle. But this is the old from Live. Lots of people would use these for door handles. This is the old antique microscope in Room Details. And then I've done something new here. I've put in a stall panel wall, and what I did was tilt this ever so slightly using that 0.25 angle snap just to make a plate for the door handle, because most doors have a door handle plate. If you don't like the garish colors of this, there's also a white version microscope in Room Details, and you can, of course, make this any color your heart desires. And this is a door frame. This is one of the frames. They just added this. It's not quite the right size. It's a good size for a double door, but it's a little bit wide, so I had to put 2 of them in there to narrow it down, and then it wasn't tall enough, so I had to turn it around and sink it in upside down to get the bottom part. And it's only one-sided, so if I want it to appear on the other side, I'm going to have to do the same thing on this side. Other things I've used for door jambs have been, again, with the alphabet letters. I use a lot of alphabet letters. So for this, for a door jamb, I might just, run some up the side and over on, over across on the other side. You can make a door out of the alphabet letters too if you want to. Of course, it's going to have an open side. Oops, grabbed the wrong thing. It's going to have an open side, right, like that. So if you're doing that, you're going to have to do something for the other side as well. The other thing I have used for door jambs before has been in Arcane. There are some beams that are here, and if you've got the space below, you can do it like that and just sink it to the right height. If you don't have the space below, then you're going to have to put them together and then probably twist or angle one slightly so they don't flicker, because these suckers will flicker all day long, and no matter how many times you adjust it, it seems like you just can't get it. So might do the angle snap trick, 0.25, and then just rotate it ever so slightly. I don't know if you even saw that, but I rotated it ever so slightly, and so hopefully now it wouldn't flicker if I were to put two together like that. So those are some examples of door jambs. Most people, I find, don't even bother door jambs. Like I said, I'm a little picky. So another door that is popular are the sliding glass doors, and I've gone ahead and put some rails in here because glass doors have rails, and the idea being you've got a glass window on either side, and then this door would slide into place if it were, an actual sliding glass door. But you just want it to look like a sliding glass door. It doesn't have to, can't actually move. So those are a few examples of wall building options, how you can make a window that you can see through, some of the new pieces and how you might use them, and some options for doors and door jambs. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for listening.